Welcome back, everybody, to the next episode of the Cam and Collins Collective. As you know, I'm your co-host, Cam Graham, joined with my wonderful swaggy co-host,
Shane Collins.
Hey, we're back and we're back to bring some more happiness to you for yet another week. Thank you guys for joining us again. You know we appreciate everyone who looks at our podcast.
Hey, my boy. So, I ain't here to call nobody out, but hey, I think we was at 12 last week. Might have been 10. 24 this week, my boy. 24 people. 24 people subscribe to us. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how many people watch it. That first episode got a lot of views. I don't know if that was just like they just clicked on the joint. I'm not trying to force it down nobody's throat. I've been doing promo though. It's just shows. But for those of y'all who are watching, who at least subscribe, who at least watch a minute or two, maybe have it on in the background, we appreciate y'all. Much love. It's only gonna get better from here.
Yeah, we're only going up, and we appreciate everyone who is with us right now. Shane, it's been a pretty eventful week for both Shane and I. I'll let Shane go first. Shane, how was your week? Give me a rose, give me a thorn, and give me a bud.
Okay, rose is. It's the last day of the semester, so we made it through. We thick and thin, we made it through. My fault. I had a lot of just good creative experiences this week. Tuesdays, I have meetings with an activist group that I'm in called called Staying Power. And so in the air, Staying Power, I just little side note. Essentially we really started in Richmond, California, but our thing is talking about and bringing awareness to gentrification and Ypsilanti, and other various issues that surround that topic. But we have normally a poetry workshop each week, / we talk about events that we might try to put on / participate in. And one of the prompts, or rather the prompt this week, sparked a really good idea. So I'm always excited. I need to write more, just period. But when I get a good idea and it's something I can latch onto, and I know like I can make something really, like, it has so much potential, and when I can like see how much potential it has, it gets me excited and it gives me something to look forward to. And I love writing, creating something and putting it on paper and like having words come out, and it's an incredible feeling. It's addicting. I'm in a couple of acting classes, or I was in a couple of acting classes at WCC, Washington Community College. And hey, I was telling Cameron a little bit, what I'm saying? It's community college acting. I'm not gonna say I'm not saying y'all was bad. None of y'all was bad. That's not what I'm saying. Some people was there, just because they was getting credits. They said acting might be a little cool. I could act a little bit. No, hey, I'm not going to speak on no individual performance. I would just speak on myself. I personally don't think I did my top best. I was there. I said the lines. I had the lines down, but it was just something I felt was missing. My scene partners were great though, and I was working with two phenomenal scripts. I was working with a scene from the play / film Doubt, as well as the play Pipeline, both very incredible in themselves. So I had a lot of fun this week. And then I got a speech due tomorrow, and I like speaking. Speaking is just in my genes. I could talk all day. All right, Thorn. Semester ended. I, I don't know if this was my Thorn last week as well, but yeah, you know, I ain't do too snappy on one of those classes. We'll say that. Well, really two, but you know, one might be could be salvaged. You know, it was just rough. It was just rough. You know, combination of little no motivation, mental health, kind of with me. Wasn't, you know, but I learned. I'm learning, and I'm, you know, I'm really trying to not even make this a thorn, because really I'm gonna learn from this. I'm gonna grow from it. And you know, that's all I can do. A bud. I ain't thought about a bud. That's cat. I already talked about it a little bit. I got a poem I can look forward to writing, as well as I want to I want to start just posting my like performances and like my art or whatever. So there was the scene I worked with has a really fantastic monologue from Pipeline, from Omari's character at the end of the play. I want to get that memorized, do a little recording, and just post it on Instagram or something. Just be like, I'm out here in these acting streets. So that's, you know, I think I'm looking forward to this creativity that's about to blossom.
What was that? Was that all you had, Shane?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
All right. So for me, Rose, so this week was the last week of school for us. Before break. It was the end of the semester. Getting everything in. I think I was Saturday through like Tuesday was some of the most stressed I've been, like, the entire time I've been in college, just because everything I had to get done.
Really?
Yeah, I had for my screenwriting class, we had to have the first act of our screenplay finished, and it had to be at least 20 pages.
Cameron, I want to read.
Yeah, yeah. And as Shane said, I get so much joy from writing and just creating characters and creating stories and speaking through the characters. It really is fun. It just takes a lot of time. And
A lot of energy. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot to just come up with something. For real.
and then I guess in my head I was kind of like, I know how to do it, so I'm not going to take too much time. Like, I can take a little bit extra time and just chill and focus on the other stuff and like do this later. And I ended up writing pretty much the entire thing Saturday and Sunday, and it was due on Monday. But I got everything done, and I was really proud of myself, and I just got to like sleep and rest. My sleeping that night after all my finals were turned in and finished with some of the best sleep I've gotten in a while. Thorn, which is kind of like a thorn, but then actually kind of turned into a bud. My screenplay was, our teacher told us that we could either mail it or drop it off at his house, and I was like, well, obviously, let's just drop it off at his house. But I did not do the research beforehand and figured out that his house was 40 minutes away. But me and my dad, who was driving me, we had some time to kind of like talk and everything and chill with each other. Um, I love my dad, and getting to spend time with him, like one on one, is something I really cherish and something that we haven't gotten to do a lot since the whole pandemic thing was going on. He took me to for my birthday a couple of years ago. He took me. We went to see the Phantom of the Opera at the Detroit Opera House, just the two of us. And I remember he turned to me at intermission.
Two of us.
What the, were those the correct words?
Hey, you don't know that song?
Did you say just the two of us?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying that was a song from the Phantom of the Opera. I was like, that first off.
No, sir.
I was like, huh? Hey. Okay, that's why I was confused. But I remember he during intermission, and he was like, I could do this.
Okay.
And I think that's one of it's the best birthday I've ever had. And as far as I think we've lost Shane.
I really interrupted your train of thought.
No, it's okay. We had some technical difficulties. But like I was saying, my dad turned to me during intermission and he was like, "Hey, I can do this." And I think that's one of my, as I get older and I look back on my memories with my dad, that's going to be one of my fondest memories that I have with him, like ever. So just getting to spend that time, yes, even though it was out of the way, getting to spend that time with him is something that I really, really enjoy, because I don't get to do it that often. But something I'm looking forward to, I am staying up. Well, the time you see this, I will have already stayed up. On December 17th, 2020, I will pull an all-nighter to catch Chadwick Boseman's last movie, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I think Netflix is going to drop it at around 4:30, and I'm going to be up to watch it. That play has always been a play that I have loved and admired. It's from possibly one of the greatest playwrights ever, August Wilson. On top of it, Chadwick Boseman's final performance has Viola Davis, who's probably one of the greatest actresses of our generation, male, female, anyone. I'm really looking forward to it, and I will pull an all-nighter anytime to see that. And then lastly, I'm moving. I'm not moving out of the city. I'm just moving to a much bigger, a much nicer house. And I'm really excited about it. We've started moving a couple of days ago. We're going to continue on into next week, but it's cool. I really like I really like the new house. There's a lot of windows. It's a huge staircase, has a chandelier.
Okay, chandelier. We got a chandelier for chandelier. That was stupid. I'm sorry.
To explain the joke, Chandler is my little brother. So Shane was trying to, but yeah,
I'm stupid.
I'm really excited about that too, and I look forward to that. All right, now for our top 5 segment of the week.
Y'all know it. Y'all love it.
These last couple of weeks we've been talking about films and other things that we like.
Animals,
superheroes, animation. And this time I just started thinking, like, what about some of the stuff we don't like? What about some of the stuff that we can identify as trash?
Trash.
So we've decided this week for our top 5 segment to list our top 5 worst films ever made. Now this is difficult, but because there are a lot of bad movies. So to narrow it down to 5 is difficult. I think I have a couple of honorable mentions because there's a lot of movies that I just really dislike, including a movie that I literally just saw yesterday.
What?
It was originally in my top 5, but it got bumped down a couple of spots. Actually, you know what? On camera, Shane, I'm going to switch that back.
Is this a new film or did you you just saw it yesterday?
It came out November 2020. So we're going to switch those. It is now back in my top 5. Came out a month ago. Already one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Whoa. I'm excited. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Hey, how about bro? You go first. You know what I'm saying? I'm eager.
All right.
Before you go, and I wanted to talk about this real quick before in the Rose Thorn, but Attack, y'all. If y'all watch anime, Attack on Titan final season is out. 2 episodes right now. I wanna wait. I wanna wait and just but I can't. As soon as it drops, I'm there. I'm a fan. It's the best anime I've ever seen. Cameron, we about to get Cameron hip over the break. He's
Shane and I are already 7 episodes. Shane has already gotten me 7 episodes in, and I think it's one of the first episode ended, and I was like, "This is already one of the greatest things I've ever seen."
And we're 7 episodes. We're 7 episodes in. Really, only
9, I think.
Okay, well, whatever number it is, we haven't gotten to the meat of this show.
Yeah, we're only more than halfway through the season
right now. Oh my God, Cameron, it's just
less.
Y'all, it's just so much that's gonna pop off. Greatest anime of all time.
Yeah, it's like when you think that it's gonna get better, when you think that it's reached its peak, it just keeps on stacking on top of the stuff that it can do better. And it's just like, wow, it really is very good. I don't even consider myself an anime fan. I'm a fan of this. So
you gotta be a fan of you can still be yeah.
We'll get into life.
Yeah.
You're a fan of
facts. And we can get into that another time. We can talk about anime a whole other time. Let's get into this top 5 worst movies.
All right. You want me to go first or you want to go first?
Yes, sir. You got it.
My number 5, it's funny. This is a movie that Shane and I watched together.
Did we?
Yeah, me and Shane went to the movies to see this movie, in fact. It is called The Happy Time Murders. So essentially it's Jim Henson's son, who I forgot his name, but his son who has inherited his company. He's like, I want to start making some adult and I want to start making some adult films with the Muppets in it. Branch off. The Muppets are for kids and that's cool and everything, but let's make some raunchy films that the cool kids can go to,
Right.
So essentially this film is about two I can't even describe it. I'm not even gonna try. This had a puppet octopus being orgasming, being jerked. They were milking the octopus.
Cameron, stop! You can't talk. I don't know.
Yeah, puppets.
That's not the worst part. The worst part is probably when he's. Do you know what I'm talking about?
When he's smashing the
him
one
and the
puppet,
secretary or whatever. Oh my God!
And then there's silly string is used in the place of something else. It had some horribly offensive parts. They were going into a house and they were investigating because this is kind of like a southern house, and they thought they were doing some like terrible stuff. And then they break into the door and they're like, "Hey!" And then you look over. Oh. And apparently the children are
It's not. We're not bad people. It's just an absurd. It's just an absurd movie. It's just,
Okay. So Shane, this is the reason why it's only my number 5 is because there are some parts that are so absurd I can still laugh that hard. It isn't good by any stretch of the imagination. Oh my goodness. Um, one thing that I could identify that was just stupid. It's just like some of the humor was just relied a lot on like shock humor. Um,
yeah.
one of the the puppet would always there was this one like cop who was kind of a jerk, and then it was that old joke where he would say like asshole said what like real fast, and then the cop would be like what, and then they were like asshole said what, it was like what, and they were like he said what again. I'm like that's not funny.
Yeah.
um or at least it's just like not like new, it's not you're not yeah, you're not doing anything with it,
Right.
um so yeah, this it is definitely one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but
For sure.
it's so bad that it's so bad that you can't certain parts you can't help but smile. And I think that's a big thing with our list. I feel it's like some of these movies we can identify that they're bad, but there's parts of it where it's just like it's kind of turns into a guilty pleasure thing. Not with all of the
Yeah.
movies though, especially not with my top ones. No. Oh. Okay, Shane, you're number 5.
Yes, sir. My number 5 is gonna go none other than uh starring Sandra Bullock, The Blind Side. Now, I gotta give some backstory, okay? When this first came out, I was like, oh, that's a moving story. It's so beautiful, It was a happy ending, Didn't succumb to the streets. um, and then I grew up and I rewatched it. And the scene where everybody knows the scene where I never had one of these before. What? A room? A
A
bed?
bit.
Brother never had a bed? Golly. They said, let me make him the poorest Negro known. And
Yeah.
not the poorest, but it's just like, dude, like, brother, like we saw homeboy. It might have been the couch, but I feel like we saw homeboy sleeping in a bed. It wasn't a good environment, but motherfucker wasn't homeless. He wasn't sleeping in no tent. I mean, it was hard to get around, and I'm not gonna say he didn't have a hard life. And it's at my number 5 because looking back, it's a fat ass white savior movie. Okay,
Yeah.
and like it's just on the face. You can't really get around it. But I I did like it for so long. For a long time, this was like one of my favorite movies. Um, I mean, I like there were parts of it I really liked. Um, but looking back, knowing what I know, I I can't let it slide.
Especially since he's like a real person, right? It's like I read that he was like upset about the movie because they were like, the movie just made me look like a dumb child.
Bro, it made him look like he was just like, he made him look like he was like in like a, it made him look like he was like a 13-year-old in like a 20-year-old body, bro.
Yeah.
It was just insane. Like homeboy was like 6'6", 300 pounds, just meat.
Yeah, you just.
I don't know why I keep this going back to meat, bro.
Just no high emotions. Just like it's almost like they had to like lead him around by the hand.
Bro, it was like he was a like a stray dog. Sandra Bullock had to come in. Now looky here now. You gotta block the white man's not. Hey, I'm not trying to make it like that. I'm not trying to make it like that. It's too easy. It's too easy. But it was like they made him out like he had no intelligence. And then just like it was just bad, bro. They just treated him like he had no sense of the world until he moved in with these white folks. And then he was like, oh, this is the way life is supposed to be lived. I was just like, oh, my boy. You know, it was supposed to be touching. You know, they ate at the table together. Motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, you wanted to watch football, big ass. So, you know, that's my number 5, boy.
All right. My number 4 is a little bit different from my number 5. It is the live action remake of The Cat in the Hat. I think this is one of the earliest versions of a movie where I looked at it and I was just like, ugh. I think this is one of the unfunniest, poorly written.
Were you scared of Cat in the Hat, like the live action one?
I was just like, this guy isn't like, why aren't they calling the police? Like, it was like, in my head, I was like, if this guy just walked into my house, I would feel a certain type of way, you know?
It seemed a lot less believable with the live action one as opposed to a cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon one, he's endearing, he's like cool and everything, but Mike Myers kind of, it's like, yeah. Guys, this movie was so bad that Theodore Geisel, or Dr. Seuss's widow, signed something where it makes it impossible for them to make live action remakes of any of Dr. Seuss's films again. That's why all of Dr. Seuss's films again have been, why they release a bunch of like animated movies after that. Because they cannot make live action movies again because of this movie. She says that she was embarrassed. She said it dishonored his legacy. She said if he was alive, he would have hated it. I think this is just so many cheesy jokes, so much over-the-top trash acting. Mike Myers, who I admit I have never liked, and I have never really found that funny in anything I've ever seen him in, is garbage, horrible. And apparently he was trying to tell the other actors he had some type of creative freedom where he could tell, he kind of served as a co-director on the film. So he would tell other actors how to say their lines and how to do stuff in their scenes. When he himself, you know, I could spend a lot of time on this, but for the sake of time, trash movie. I hated it. I do remember it wasn't horribly offensive, which I think my next 3 are. But without being offensive, this was probably the worst movie I've ever seen. Without being offensive, on top of being a poorly made movie.
Okay.
Shane, number 4.
Yeah. So none of mine going for it. That's not true. My number 1 is probably the most offensive on my list. If you but we'll get to that when we get to that. Number 4 I got Suicide Squad. When this first dropped, I have a bias towards DC anyways. I have a preference. I've always been a fan of DC over Marvel. When it came to the movies, I had more, hey guys, don't, it's not that bad type shit. Like there were some good parts. Not really. There weren't. There were not a lot of good parts. Acting, pedestrian. Will Smith did his thing. Will Smith did his most Will Smith could do with the part. Margot Robbie, cool. I understand a lot of people ended up, falling in love with the Harley Quinn character. I think they sexualized her. But that's how they sell. That's how they sell movies. So, okay, that's what the industry is. Kind of, trash villain. Yeah, Will Smith was in it. I don't know what to tell you. It was not a good movie. There weren't a lot of good parts. I wasn't very entertained throughout it. I fell asleep the second time watching it through. You remember how I said last week my pop be falling asleep all the time? He's still a punk. He still be doing that, but I fell asleep second time watching this movie. It was not impressive. It's boring. It's just boring. So yeah, that's my number 4. I've grown to not like it very much. The one redeeming part maybe was when it was all of them and they was kind of in that street kind of / alley, and it was kind of like a standoff. They was firing, but them like whatever they homies was coming after them, black slugs or whatever. I don't know. But then Deadshot, aka Will Smith, got up there, started like it was just cool how he was just. It was just like the final stand type deal. I got a soft spot for that. Will Smith was in the movie, so yeah, that's my number 4. Suicide Squad. Cameron?
Okay, Shane, my number 3 is your number 4, Suicide Squad. I saw this movie with a friend when I was 16 years old. I've wanted to be a filmmaker my entire life. I love movies. I live in the movie theater. Quality 16 is like a second home to me. I have my favorite seat. I have my favorite theater. I know exactly what I get every time I go there. We went there. Right hand to God, I almost walked out. That's the first movie I've ever considered walking out of. I've heard people talk about it, doing it, but I was like, I could never walk out of a movie. I mean, I love movies. You said what?
Not Cameron, not the future film director.
Yeah. Like, that's disrespectful to my craft. I can't walk out of a movie just because I dislike it. This movie made me reassess why I wanted to be a filmmaker. This movie has some very it has some very good actors. And that Viola Davis, who's in it for a good 10 minutes. She's probably, like, thinking about it low key, she's probably my favorite actress. But she's not really there. Will Smith, phenomenal actor. He does okay with his part, he's charming,
Yeah.
He adds life to that character. Margot Robbie, I think, was probably, personally, I feel, was the best performance, even though you could clearly see that they were sexualizing her as opposed to treating her like a threat or like an actual character. This movie made me hate the Joker. This movie's Joker was so horrible. Jared Leto played the Joker. He was so bad as the Joker that when they announced that Joaquin Phoenix was playing the Joker next, I was upset because I was like, Joaquin Phoenix has always been one of my favorite actors, and I was scared that he was going to ruin his career. Jared Leto isn't even a bad actor. Homie's won I don't know if you know this, Shane. The dude has won an Oscar before. You know that?
Cameron,
Jared Leto has won an Oscar.
First of all, that's nuts because I don't what creative was like. You gotta question how much creative license did he have to interpret the character that way? Was he written that way? Like were the writers?
I'm pretty sure he took the character in its own. I'm pretty sure he took the character in his own direction, Shane.
It was despicable.
I think
it was despicable to.
He had a grill.
It was despicable to black people. It was despicable. Despicable to the Joker.
Are you gonna appropriate cult? Not only is it a bad, you're gonna be the worst Joker and appropriate at the same time? Like this.
Oh my god!
I was like, oh my.
What was your least favorite part about the Joker? About his Joker?
The laugh.
Okay.
It wasn't even like it was like. Bro, it was something that made me cringe every time he did
it. It was like, bro, what kind of yuck? What are you?
Yeah, he looked more like a crackhead than like an evil. Like
he did
clown.
look like he was having withdrawal symptoms. I'm not cool. Hey, that's messed up. That's messed up.
And
that's
then and then on appropriation, the lizard. When everybody talks about appropriation and everything, they talk about the Joker wearing the grill. They don't talk about that lizard speaking with the African American vernacular English up in the. Hey y'all, I'm about to go get my pizza. Oh my goodness!
Look. Okay. To be fair, brother is Killer Croc is supposedly black in the comics, but to one assume that he talks like that. Okay. Two, if we're talking about the Killer Croc from the comics, the Suicide Squad version was incredibly humanoid.
Did we even see a human version of the? So it was just a lizard. It was just a jive talking lizard. So that doesn't make it That doesn't make it better. Okay, so it wasn't appropriation. It was just a stereotype. It was kind of how like they made the crows. Make the crows in the animated movies in Disney. Talk like, hey, how you doing?
My brother said, hey, I'm just trying to do me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't worried about it. I'm just finna eat some motherfuckers, man. That's all, man.
And I don't remember caring about any of the characters. I don't remember caring about the story. I didn't care about Will Smith's daughter. I didn't care about anything. I wanted the movie to end.
You're ruthless.
My favorite part of that movie was the credits. When the credits started, favorite.
Jeez.
I hate that movie. That movie's trash. The movie is trash. No one can tell me otherwise. The movie is trash. Shane,
oh my goodness.
Hit me with your number 3.
Okay, my number 3. I don't remember a lot about it because I kind of just wanted to shut it out of my mind. This one featuring an actor none of you would expect. The movie is titled Steel. It is starring none other than NBA legend, just legendary person all around. One of the people on my bucket list to want to meet. I really want to meet, brother, but Shaquille O'Neal. He plays from what I remember, he basically he looked like a thrift shop RoboCop. I y'all gotta just go look up the picture. He just looks so damn ugly in that mask. I don't know what he was thinking. He was at the height of his career. He was making, dropping records, dropping films, dropping buckets. But they wasn't good films. It was not good films. I think I paid 99 cents for this movie. No, that's cap. It was free. It was free. Let's not lie to ourselves. And when I watched it on demand before Xfinity took over, when it was just Comcast, I remember that. It was a regretful time. I finished it though, out of respect. It was horrible. Don't watch it. Look it up, but don't watch it. And if you already have, I'm sorry for your loss. Cameron, put me up to your number 2, brother.
All right. As I mentioned in the beginning, I switched out one of my original ones and switched order a little bit. My number 2 is a movie that I just saw yesterday. I just finished it yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
It came out November something 2020. It is a film by the name of Hillbilly Elegy.
What?
It stars Amy Adams, and Glenn Close, 2 great actors, as you guys know. I have joint philosophical issues with this and joint just technical issues with this. It tells a story of a lower class white family from Kentucky. His mom is the main character's name is JD Vance. His mom is an addict. And his grandmother kind of has to step in and take care of him from time to time because his mother's just ill-equipped. His mom is played by Amy Adams. His grandma is played by Glenn Close.
I've never seen Amy Adams as a serious actress.
So. Really?
No,
I mean, the first thing most of us saw her in was Enchanted. So I feel like in the Muppets and stuff like that, and I think that just kind of.
That Amy Adams played an addict?
Yes.
Say you swear. Oh my goodness.
There are a couple. So it's just with this movie, it's just you never knew what. It seemed like the movie was talking about his relationship with his. It seemed like it wanted it to be 2 different movies at the same time. It seemed like they wanted to talk about his relationship with his mom. And then it seemed like halfway through, it's like, never mind, we're going to focus on his relationship with his grandma. So it's just what? And I think it's just kind of it's a, look at me, I pulled myself up from my bootstraps type of movie, which is kind of which is a message I kind of hate, especially when, not to get all political and everything, but especially when white people use it. Because I think it negates certain privileges. I mean, even if you're poor, what he basically is look, I came from a poor family, we're hillbillies and everything. At the same time, I worked hard, I did good in school, I got a job. Now I'm at Yale Law School, and you can do it too. And I think that's just kind of well,
the American dream.
Yeah, just kind of, and I just think that's kind of foolish, especially from a 21st century perspective, and seeing all these people, most people that is not the case for. Most people, especially now, if you want to start paying attention to people of color, minorities in the country, women, it's a lot less than a white dude. And there's people that are actually working. This kid, as a kid, he would just sit on the couch. No, I'm not going to do my chores. And there's people, and that's part of the reason why he contributed to his grandma being poor, because he refused to help her. There's people that go out of their way to help, and they still struggle. So I just think it's just like it's a white fantasy film in my head.
So homeboy didn't help out his grandma.
Yeah, his grandma got his grandma was like, "Can you please take out the trash and wash the dishes?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't feel like doing all this work, Grandma." And he went on sat on the couch and was like, "I'm not doing my homework either." And then she got a Meals on Wheels. So a guy from Meals on Wheels came up to the door, like, "Hey, we got your meal." And it was just this one like little like thing like that you get at lunch. And she was like, I have my grandson here with me. I actually didn't even have enough money to get my medicine. So can you give me something extra? And he's like, well, I can give you some chips and some fruit. And she's like, I'll take that. And then for dinner, he has half a chicken breast, 3 grapes, and they share the chips. And she's like, all right, eat up. And that's the moment where he's like, you know what? Maybe I should start helping out my grandma. Of course. How long has this been going on before that could turn, maybe I shouldn't be a bum, because my grandma can literally only afford, she can't. So you're cool with your grandma not getting her pills for a month, but it just random one meal, you don't get that whole lot of food, and you're like, and it was supposed to be inspirational. We were supposed to be like, that guy, look at him. I'm like, you're selfish.
Homeboy, it took homeboy to have a half a chicken breast and 3 grapes to think, hey, maybe it's time to make some change.
Yeah. So yes, it's like, and the way that the film was structured, we were supposed to look at that and be like, damn, they're struggling, man. They really got it. They really, really got it hard. And like, you have it hard because one person is literally not trying.
Hey, Cameron, you looked at that film, you was like,
yes, if a person does not try to contribute at all when they're in that position. Now, aside from my philosophical views, the acting, this had some of the, Glenn Close was okay. This had some of the, Amy Adams, I love her with all of my heart. She overacted her ass off in this movie.
Yeah.
Overacted negatively. There's like, he says, no, she's an addict. So addicts have like heightened emotions and everything. But this movie, like, she was in the car driving with her son, and her son was like, she was like, I'm gonna get married soon. And she's like, and he's like, you're gonna get married. You only been with this guy for like a week and everything. I guess that's why Uncle so and so calls them your taste of the month and everything. And she's like, you let my brother talk about me like that behind my back? And then she starts pressing on the gas. And then she's like, why don't I just kill us both right now? You want me to kill us both? And I'm like, wait, I'm like, what? He's like, no, Mom, no. And he starts climbing in the back of the car. He's like, you're a crazy bitch. And then she jumps in the back of the seat and just starts beating his ass, starts punching and slapping and kicking him in the face. And then he jumps out of the car, rolls down a hill, runs into somebody's house. He's like, my mom is trying to kill me. Then Amy Adams comes storming through, kicks the door down, grabs him by the hair, drags him down the stairs back outside of the house. I'm just like, okay, this is, and it was done in a way where like I was laughing. And then there's another scene where I think it's one of the most disturbingly insensitive and just like offensive scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Their grandpa dies. And he's so Amy Adams' dad, JD is at his grandma's house playing cards, and then all of a sudden you see everybody running down the street, kind of like how like fights happen or how fights look.
Yeah.
So he starts running out and everything, and he sees his older sister trying to calm his mom down and her boyfriend, and then his mom turns around and she's slit her wrist because she's depressed. She's like, and they're like, we miss him too. We miss him too. And she's like, you don't fucking say you miss him. He was my dad. You're a bitch. And she starts trying to fight her daughter. And I'm just like, and then she turns around and slaps her boyfriend in the face. And then the cops pull up. She starts fighting the cops and screams like, no, let me go. And it's just like, it's not even in a way where it's like, this is an addict and this is someone that needs help. It's just like, it's kind of like one of those things where like you're in the store and you see someone acting weird and you kind of, you know, I was appalled. And then there was a lighthearted moment. I think this is the only reason why it's not my number one, and I will move on and let you take it. Glenn Close, who I said does a very good job in this movie. She comes out. JD's looking at him. He's like his mom. He's like 14. He's hyperventilating. He's like, oh, my mom, my mom. And then she comes and she turns him around and she's like, hey, don't look at that. Look at me. Look at me. And then he starts to tear up and then he cries in his arms and she's like, it's gonna be all right. Don't look. Just don't look. And if that alone was that part, that would have been I would have been like, okay, I can kind of get with that. If I did not see Amy Adams in the background, she kind of looked like that like Kermit on the ground. They were trying to restrain her to put her on the thing, and she was like, ah! I was like, this is it was I was like, this is one of the most offensive scenes in anything that I've ever seen, because you're taking someone who's obviously self-harmed and you make it a complete joke. I should not be smiling looking at this. You should not be looking at this and being like, okay, this chick is overreacting. That should not be your reaction at all. And
it's disrespectful. It's not to say that nobody's had that reaction, but it's like y'all chose like an extreme side of this, like just in a real extreme side of this spectrum. Again, like, not that it's not real, but come on, y'all. Like, I know you got to do a little bit extra for film, but come on, y'all. Come on.
It was I was shocked. It was shocking. It was shocking for me. I've seen a lot of movies in my life. I've seen a lot of dark scenes. It was shocking for me because it wasn't done I don't think it was done in a tasteful way. It was done in a way where it's kind of like you either roll your eyes, or you're just like, oh my God. So yeah, that was that. All right. Shane, what about your number two? That is my number two. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. I saw it yesterday. Shane.
My number two is probably one that I personally hate, just a lot, personally, for what it signifies in other regards. I couldn't name the actors, actresses. Don't remember any of them, many of the scenes. It's hard to talk about. But my number two is The Last Airbender. I believe M. Night what is it? Shyamalan?
M. Night Shyamalan, yeah.
I believe he was the director. I'm not incredibly familiar. I know he's like notorious for having like twist endings.
Yeah.
Anyways, not really sure with the track record why he was given the directorial position. But this movie was disgusting. Disrespectful, I believe, would be the best word to describe this film. If you've ever seen Nickelodeon's Avatar: The Last Airbender, any episode, there's 60 episodes. Each one perfection. It's a series I can say it's a perfect it's one of the few perfect series. Okay, one of the best animations of all time. One of my favorite cartoons growing up. A lot of people's favorite. It blew up when it got re-released on Netflix, or when it got released on Netflix, because it's that show. And it was despicable. The fight scenes, the casting. Oh, if y'all know anything about Avatar, they're all POC. I think Zuko was. I don't want to assume the race.
He was the teenage guy. Yeah, I think that was Dev. I think that was Dev Patel. I think he's of Indian descent.
Okay, Indian. Yeah. In the film, his name is Ong. I should throw up right now. I should throw up on camera. It just he, as well as Katara and Sokka, they were the white childrens, as well as the tribe. The tribe is supposed to be it's supposed to be indigenous peoples. That's what they're supposed to represent. That's at least what they was in the cartoon. And I mean, they had a couple Asian people in there, but this movie was just so terrible, bro. It's just it's one scene. I think there is somewhere in the Earth Kingdom, and Earth Kingdom, that don't even sound right. Anywho, the battle, just like the projectiles were, they was moving so damn slow, and then they had the nerve with the speed that they was traveling across the air to hit somebody. They had the nerve to. It was just like, I understand. I understand to take something from a cartoon and try to make it live action is a big ask, especially to do it high quality. That takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. But if you're not going to put the money and time into it, and we know the doggone was just a cash grab because it was atrocious. You know it's not good. Nobody liked it. It's got to be on everybody universally top 10 worst movies of all time. It's disgusting. That horrible casting, animation / CGI, abysmal. Acting abysmal. The white people, no, man, that's my number 2. It's just repulsive, bro. Yeah, bro. It's so repulsive to go from something so extremely fantastic, extravagant, otherworldly to something so low. so low. Cameron, give me a couple honorable mentions, if you will, my brother.
Okay, I have 3 honorable mentions. Okay. My first one, it was the one that I just recently bumped off the list. It's Norbit. Now, if you guys don't remember this, it was one of the very many movies where Eddie Murphy dressed up as a woman, and thankfully the last. In that it was one of the he played a stereotypical overweight black woman. He played a nerdy black guy. He played an Asian. He played a stereotypical Asian character.
Hey, tell me why when people was making fun of me as a kid, they call me nerdy.
See, but that doesn't even make it.
Brother, they was ruthless. I don't know what to say. Hey, it was ruthless.
I think the movie was offensive. I don't think it was funny. I mean, offensive side, because I understand some people some stuff you should universally just condemn, but I understand that some people are more receptive to certain things than others. I just thought the movie was stupid. I thought the movie wasn't funny. I think it was just cheesy. That was trash. Batman versus Superman. I Hearing about it as a 16-year-old, I was intrigued. I was like, whoa, they got Batman and Superman in the same movie? That's about to be hype. I saw the first 30 minutes. It was a mixture of confusion, kind of like, this is garbage. Like, why is Bruce Wayne so old? I know that me and Jane have discussed that in a previous episode, but it was just, it was long. I don't know why DC feels like they have the right to make their movies 2.5 hours long.
They do like
like what credit have you guys earned to be asking me for this film time? It was a supreme waste of my time, and it was like, you know what? Marvel is dropping all these Avengers movies. We got to drop some of our own. We got to get them excited for this Justice League movie. And at most, it just made me not want to see the Justice League movie, which I heard is probably as bad, if not worse. And my last honorable mention before I mention my number one. It's a movie that a lot of people. It came out a couple of years ago. A lot of people liked it. I even enjoyed it. I enjoyed the last scene when I first saw it. I have since come to feel that it was not only a cash grab, but a nostalgia binge. It was a movie basically off of the best hits of someone's life that they didn't even bother to get correct. It is by the name of Bohemian Rhapsody. This movie is not only, I think this movie is bad. It isn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It may be one of the most, I think it is the most overrated movie I have ever seen. As far as how much people get behind it. I have movies that I feel are overrated. I don't feel like one has hit this level. Yeah, I remember at the Golden Globes watching with two very good friends of mine in college when it beat Black Klansman, Black Panther, and among some other films for Best Motion Picture Drama, and I had to stop myself from vomiting. I think that was like a way to disrespect. I felt disrespected as a black man. I felt disrespected as a film major. I felt disrespected as a person. This movie sells itself on like, hey, this is Freddie Mercury. Look how flamboyant he is. And like, Rami Malek doesn't even really look like Freddie Mercury that much. The teeth they put in his mouth makes him look like a donkey. Yeah, it's like they play with the time period in which he got AIDS, so he can have AIDS going into the Live Aid concert, which is we can discuss whether that's movies take liberties, but like, is that maybe a little far? Trash. I hate that movie. I hate that movie with all my heart. I hate it, but not as much as my number one. Do you want to say your honorable mentions first?
Don't mind if I do.
Okay, go ahead.
My first honorable mention, Snow White. Yep. I think this was the first Disney movie all time. Yeah, it's junk garbage, son. Snow White probably got the worst voice of all the Disney princesses. The most obnoxious. Cameron, do your Snow White impression right now, son.
I'm gonna be as I can't. I haven't seen the movie. Snow White and the Seven, the movie from the 30s.
Yes, sir. That's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Hit your Snow White impression for us.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I didn't have my honey today. I didn't have my honey. So my throat's a little parched. My throat is a little parched. So I'm gonna skip on my Snow White. Just know I got the vocals. Yeah, voice was garbage. I never got into it. She was stupid. Like she ate a poison apple. Like it just. I also I feel like the original version must have been mad dark. Wasn't she like a teenager and then we don't we've not discussed how old these dwarfs are. Like I know they made the Disney version cutesy, but like I feel like I read somewhere that the OG story was pretty messed up. And low key, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is just the Seven Dwarfs. That's just messed up. Like it's just that's the whole concept stupid. I don't know. It's a stupid movie. She is stupid character, stupid voice, stupid. My my other one. This movie, I never felt better coming out of the movie than I did before I watched this movie. Never really struck gold with me. I mean, it's a couple cool characters, but I think it's pretty overrated. I don't really get it. That movie, y'all might know it. It's called The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, Wizard of Oz was nothing was ever super special about it. No. I know the homegirl Judy Garland. She's doing her thing on the vocals. Shout outs to. I think she I hope she's doing okay. I heard. I pray for child actors and actresses, and anybody in the music slash film industry as a child. I think it's such a corrupt place. I think a lot of people just not looking out for your best interest. So I heard she's I don't know too much about Judy Garland, but I feel like I heard that she was having some rough times. So heart goes out to her.
Judy Garland has been dead for a good 20 years, Shane. Did you not know that?
So R.I.P. Judy Garland. You know what I'm saying? Her contributions were mighty to the world. You know what I'm saying? She crushed that wicked witch. Did her bidding. You know what I'm saying? She. Somewhere over the rainbow.
I think I think the movie was significant for its time because it was one of the first movies to use color.
I get it. No, hey, look, color movie, no color people. Hey,
yeah, I think I think as a movie, I think it is pretty flat. I think Judy Garland is a star. I think I admire Judy Garland. I think other than Judy Garland, it's
I'll put it like this, Cameron. She was a good actress from 1930. You know what I'm saying? She was a good actress for
she became a better actress as the years went on. She was like 20.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying. It's kind of like, follow the yellow brick road.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was just never like, I get it. But I want to remind people we got to separate nostalgia from quality.
Exactly.
you know, I did mess with the Cowardly Lion. Uh, put him up, put him up. That's my joint right there. That's my joint right there. And you know, he got the little bone in his hair. If I was king of the farm, you know what I'm saying? All that. I remember. Hey. It was cool. It was cool. It was cool. But I just think it's overrated. I don't think it's overrated. I'm gonna have to agree with Cameron low key. Bohemian Rhapsody, big overrated. I get everybody was a fan. What did I just say? So
Yeah.
all right, Cameron. So that's all I got for my honorable mentions. How about you, Hameen, with your number one?
Okay, my number one, I'll make this quick, Soul Plane. I think this is one of the trashiest, stupidest, most offensive. It's one of those movies. Kevin Hart is one of Kevin Hart's early roles in a movie, early leading roles in a movie.
Okay.
He's a plane flies over his mom is poor and she can only afford a house near like the runway of an airport. And ever since then, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna ride one of those one day. And so he grows up. He gets on an airplane for the first time. And of course, like he doesn't know etiquette because he's black. So he's on this airplane. They're asking him if he wants beef stroganoff or something else, and he's like, I don't even know what that is. Like, of course he doesn't know like what basic food is. And he's talking to the white woman like next to him all open mouth. He has no etiquette, so he's like because he's black, He grows up, makes this airplane company that is designed for black people. The airport has a KFC and pot pies in it. Strippers who dance on the plane. For the food, they pass a bucket of chicken back. Got the stereotypical loud black women as the security guards, one of which is Monique. The pilot is Snoop Dogg, who really isn't a pilot. He's just a guy that got on the plane and he's high, and then he dies. So Kevin Hart has to fly the plane. I think it's as far as stereotypes. You said what?
What's the movie called?
Soul Plane.
Oh, that's Soul Plane. Oh.
So as far as stereotypes and just ignorance goes, it's pretty high. As far as like writing, and you don't care about any of the characters. It's not funny. The three white characters in the movie are the stereotypical white woman. Like, oh my goodness, hi, I'm white, and then the stereotypical white dad with the pants up to here and everything. It's like, ooh, it's a really really nice plane that we're on, and then the stereotypical like white son who wants to be black, and he comes in with talking slang and everything, and the black teenage girl who's trying to date all the black dudes. Both the mom and the dad to hook up with a black guy on the plane. It's ignorant. It's stupid. It's not funny. I wish I never saw it. I wish I could erase it from my brain, but I can't. So, Shane.
Brother says. All right. My number one is, and I took the liberties upon myself. We might do a list like this in the future, but this is probably my number one guilty pleasure movie. It's not very good. It's quite offensive. It don't feel right when you're watching it, but it's right. You know what I'm saying? Whenever it comes on, I'm going to watch it. Probably my favorite Adam Sandler movie, The Water Boy. Okay. Y'all, if y'all haven't seen The Water Boy, I will just say go watch it. I'm not gonna tell you how it goes. I'll tell you this, okay? This is man possibly mentally disabled. It wasn't confirmed. It's okay. Wow. He's living with his mom. Mom's mom's is, she's real protective, real protective is the word of her son. She real cautious. She calls everything the devil. So he's kind of lived his life with his mama in solitude. But he has a job as the water boy, and one thing leads to another. He gets fired from one team, becomes the water boy of another team. First of all, quote of the day: "That's some quality H2O." Let me rephrase. That's some quality H2O. That's the quote of the day. Yeah, pretty much he makes a crazy play. Coach is like, brother, if you don't put some pads on, so put some football pads on. He gets out there. He don't got a lick of sense about football, but when he's given the right directions, he's the best player on the field. I don't remember who the actor's name is, but he's in many a film with Adam Sandler. You can do it. That's that's one of my favorite characters in every movie. He's hilarious. He just has that line. Adam Sandler. The character is lovable. He's super cool love interest. She was one of my first crushes as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Offensive humor aside, it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie at all. But it's one that I hold dear to my heart, and I can get a laugh out of it every single time. It's a classic to me. So I'm gonna have to go Waterboy, my number one worst movie.
All right.
And Cameron, I told you a little bit about this camera, but I got a small bladder. It's water running through me, brother. This brother. Hey, brother, we be being honest. There's water running through me. Cameron, I know we about to start, so if you want to take off with that, I will be right.
All right. So while Shane goes and relieves himself, this week we watched the third episode of Lovecraft Country. Now we're gonna do this review a little bit differently, just because this episode was just structured in a different way. It took a break. It seemingly took a break from the main narrative of the show for the majority of the episode, aside from maybe like part of the beginning, part of the middle, and part of the end. To give you a brief rundown, because I'm gonna ask Shane some stuff when he gets back. To give you a brief rundown, it's a couple of weeks after Uncle George's funeral. He's died. Letitia gets some money, and she's able to buy a house in the Upper West Side of Chicago, where she's harassed by her white neighbors because she's black, and she has a lot of black borders as well. And she starts to simultaneously discover some supernatural stuff going on in the house. So she starts to do her research. At the same time, George's wife begins to question whether or not Tick is keeping information about how George died from her, because they tell her that he got killed by a hot-headed sheriff, and she just doesn't really believe it. So she believes they're keeping stuff from her, and she wants to know. And lastly, at the end of the episode, we see a familiar face that, as we know, the house burned down at the end of last episode. And seemingly everyone died except for Christina, not Carolyn. I don't know why I keep calling her Carolyn. Christina. Christina apparently survived. And reunites with Atticus, who originally tries to kill her, but he can't for some reason. She reunites with him and lets him in on some information about the house that Letitia now lives in. That's a general synopsis of the episode. One of the reasons why we're conducting this differently is because both me and Shane agreed this episode was, and if you guys are watching it with us, this episode is kind of confusing. And there's a lot that happens, and there's a lot of shock stuff that happens, even the stuff that isn't confusing necessarily. It's like, whoa, you know. Yeah, I think we returned from we returned to the last episode. They approached the racism. I don't know if you agree with this, and they approached the racism in kind of a get out type fashion where it wasn't overt, where they weren't like saying like they weren't calling them the N-word, but it was definitely there, as opposed to the first episode where they're literally like, I don't want you black people eating in my diner. You know? It was just kind of like you're a big, strong black guy. I want to use you and use your power to get this stuff that I need. Which is exactly what they do in Get Out. This episode returned to the general racist white person idea that most people have in their head. A cross is burned in front of Letitia's house for her living in this big house.
First of all, well, if y'all following along, I don't know this, but essentially, Letitia moves in to a big old house in the suburbs. You know, what was her sister's name? I'm forgetting her sister's name.
Ruby.
Ruby. Okay, so her and Ruby, she basically takes Ruby here. Look, I got a new house. How you afford this? Says Ruby. She talking about don't worry about it. Da, da, da. So they cool. But they moving in, or she's showing her the house, and then we see her move in on a Sunday when supposedly all the whites are off at church. Now, we later learn the house was paid for with money that their mother left behind, and for some reason didn't leave any to Ruby. We don't quite know. Letitia says something along the lines of, "We can't just like I'm tired of justifying her crazy decisions and crazy ideas. So I don't really understand why it happened." Ruby felt hurt because one, she wasn't even there for her mom's funeral. And two, Letitia didn't tell her that about the money, lied to her about how she paid for the house. But moving backwards, they're moving in on a Sunday when we think the white people are at church, and then we hear some honking from outside. And that's when what Cam said, we see those what we envision as 1950s, 1960s stereotypical white male, slick hair, got the little curl up front, got the little Superman curl up front, and they're sitting on their cars, and they have a brick attached to the horn, so the horn is just going, and they're just being just down disrespectful. Golly, it was some pretty despicable stuff in this episode. I was kind of the first time I watched it through, I like to watch them like twice to see if I missed anything. This one was pretty memorable just for, you know, it just had a bunch of memorable parts, but it was some despicable stuff. You know, because we see that Letitia like they wasn't just having the horns going while they was moving in. No, it's a all night Letitia wakes up and the horns are still going. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like all of this is just like target like one house with like a couple of black people in it. Keep in mind this is a neighborhood, so most of the people there aren't black. So it's just interesting how much effort they're taking just to pick on this one group of black people. It's like we're willing to disturb the entire neighborhood just to get these black people out. I just think it's like I don't know. It's just a strange thing to think about. It's like is you that you're willing to discomfort yourself just for the sake of making someone else uncomfortable. Um yeah. So yeah, like they deal with just a general amount of racism and just the general amount of racism that's apparent and that it's easy to identify in this episode. Like the horns, the intimidation tactic to kind of let them know that they aren't welcome there. Um, Letitia throws a party. Um, and as another example, Letitia is throwing a party. Um, with them there. Atticus dresses up in his soldier uniform to kind of be like to apparently sway them, I guess, because like we can't attack a house with an American soldier here, because you know white people are patriots. But
He was also getting ready to go back to I don't know if he was doing this after that night or something, but I thought it might have been for that. I thought I knew he was also getting ready to go back to Florida, I believe, for like military stuff again.
Yeah, he might have. Yeah. But I think for that specific purpose, I think that's why it was. There were some interesting development. So okay, so they burn a cross in the front yard when they're having this party. So Atticus and a bunch of the other guys get guns. Letitia goes and gets a bat, and then they're just like, okay, we're tired of all this intimidation stuff, and you've gone a little too far. So Letitia busts out the windows out of all the cars, busts out the knocks the bricks off, busts out all the lights, and then the cops show up and arrest her. And in the car they're asking her like, hey, like how did you get enough money to get this house? Like we know no black woman can have enough money to get this house. And then they just start intentionally driving crazy, and she's bouncing all up against the car.
That was like, bro, it was just messed up. Like she was just slamming up against the walls and
it busted her head, it busted her lip.
It's just the way he was talking. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, it's just like that. And it was kind of one of those things like, okay, if you tell us what we want to hear, this can all stop. I mean, you're the reason why this keeps happening. So if you want this to stop, all you got to do is tell us what we want to hear. And I think that was just, ugh. So she gets back. It jumps throughout time a couple of times. Like I mentioned before, this episode also explores some kind of otherworldly, kind of extraterrestrial type of evil spirit type stuff going on in the house. During the same party, George's daughter is down in the basement playing with a Ouija board, which is, stupid. Never play with a Ouija board, guys. It will never lead to anything good. Only lead to negative stuff. Just
there's nothing good. That's right. Regardless of what your beliefs are, even if you don't believe in ghosts or spirits, what benefit do you get from using a Ouija board?
Exactly. It's just like, how is this?
Go drink some water. Go get a swig of water. Go
on the jog. Go work out. Get your muscles up. So apparently, and Shane, I don't know if you caught the name that they spelled. I believe when they were down in the basement and they were doing the Ouija board, it spelled out the name George.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then his daughter was like, his daughter was like, you guys are some dicks, dude. That's not even funny. And they're like, wait, no, pause. We didn't do that. It's like, whatever. And she flips over the table and walks out. Remember, her father has died. And even though it's been a couple of weeks, this episode starts a couple of weeks after his funeral, it's still, she thinks they're making fun of her. She thinks they're trying to poke at her, which is totally understandable. But then it's kind of like, wait, pause. What if they weren't the ones doing that?
Which is peculiar, because what if it was George? What was making his presence known? It wasn't necessarily a warrant. I don't know. Like
what was he trying to tell? What was he trying to tell?
Yeah, them? Like what was the purpose of him being there?
Yeah.
I mean, that's messed up. He probably wanted to see his daughter, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And as I was mentioning, his family's already having a difficult time believing that he's gone and believing that the reason that they were given why he's gone is that reason. So it's just like a big thing. And then Atticus and Letitia have had a development in their relationship. He gets kind of jealous at the party because Letitia's up there dancing with a guy real close, and then there's kind of guys egging him on. They're like, "Hey, isn't that like? Don't you live here like rent free? I mean, if she's your girl and everything, you should like." That
dude was funny.
Yeah, I was like, that's. Hey, everyone knows guys like that too.
He said, "You and Leticia used to be a thing back in the day."
So like, hey, is it cool if I get it? Like, I'm just joking, but like, hey, he's getting it though. I mean, I haven't done it.
I'm just playing got me. That was funny as ever.
Yeah.
He said, "No, I'm just playing, but you better catch homeboy because he look."
Yeah, but so Atticus shoots his shot and they have sex in the bedroom, and then not in the bedroom, in the bathroom. But she starts bleeding. And at first she's like, okay, it's just my time of the month. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, it's cool. I'm gonna go back downstairs. And then she cries. And she later tells him that episode, she was like, hey, I wasn't bleeding because that was my time of the month. It was actually my first time. Which is I think a lot of the characters kind of look at Letitia and kind of assume that she's just like this very sexual person, when in reality she's just a free person, more of a free spirit, as opposed to someone who's looking for that type of stuff. I do believe there is, as we saw in the last episode with the snake and the pants and everything, I do think there is some type of trauma attached to that type of stuff for her that we haven't learned yet. So that was just an interesting development. It was interesting that like either way, that guy Atticus was the one who she lost her virginity to, or that she had sex with for the first time with. And she even told him, she was like, I'm not upset with you, and I don't regret it. I just wanted to let you know. So we got those developments. Now, in regards to the extraterrestrial stuff, because the supernatural stuff. Because I think this episode, like I said, isn't really about the last couple of episodes. It's kind of broken up into 3 parts. It's a little bit
about it, like
a little bit in the beginning and a little bit at
about it. Yeah, right.
So for the majority of the episode, it focuses on her interactions with these racist white people in her new neighborhood. the developments and her relationship with Atticus, and then the house and this supernatural state of the house. She does some research and she discovers that the house used to belong to a guy by the name of Hiram Epstein, who kidnapped, he was a doctor or a scientist who kidnapped and experimented on 8 black people and killed them and then buried them underneath the house. But their spirits still live there. As does his after he's died. And this is the reason why Letitia and some of the others experience these supernatural events. There is a so she gets a medium. If you guys don't know that, it's someone who speaks to the dead, basically. She gets a medium to cast the spirits out of the house. And at the same time, these white guys break into the house. This was Shane, I don't know about you, this was kind of low-key one of my favorite. I think this is probably one of my favorite scenes of the show so far, just because it is kind of cool. It was freaky, but it was very freaky and disturbing, but it was kind of cool. She's speaking in this now. I will admit I don't like the trope of like these languages that they speak in Africa are like evil satanic languages that if you speak them,
right.
If a person speaks an African language, and of course they're talking to say, I just think that's I don't know. Why can't we do that with like French or like German? You know?
Like, thanks, exactly.
That does annoy me.
Y'all ever hear German? Goodness, they be sounding angry over there.
Yeah. It's just like you don't do this with white languages, but you got to do it with languages from people of color. I don't like that personally, but that's neither here nor there. It's just a little weird.
I feel you.
But they were speaking in this language and everything, and stuff started twirling around them in the basement, and stuff started moving. Then they were up in an elevator shaft, which almost hits Letitia and Ruby in the beginning of the episode. A white guy pokes his head down, and it takes his head off. Then
they was showing the innards too.
I know, it's just like the oozing blood. I was like,
yuck. Yuck.
These other 2 white guys get sucked into a room, or they open a door and get sucked into a room, and then they can't open the door, and then this basketball player with the head and voice of a baby comes out.
That was creepy as hell, dude.
Shane gave me a warning last week that this episode had horror vibes. And then for much of the episode, I was like, there's some jump things, but it isn't really that bad. I was like, oh, he told me not to watch it, and I appreciate. That's why I appreciate and love this guy as much as I do, because I would have cried if I was watching this like last night. I would have cried.
It freaked me out.
That was one of the most disturbing things I've seen. And not only does he just have a baby head, but he's kind of mutilated.
Yeah, bro. The dimensions were just so disgusting. Like it was just, and then like you go back to like this white dude was probably taking alive people and putting heads on one another, and
like just how did they
like you just think about how this like just
thinking about how they got to look like that is just
bro. There was bro. It was like there was this one little girl with like her breasts missing. It was like, what the fuck? It was bro. I think it was like this one with like no jaw. One was like just I don't know, it was like crawling on the ground. It like you had, I don't know, bro. It was just.
Yeah, it was really freaky. But their steam pipes burst in the room with the white guys, and it kills those guys along with the monster, the mutant type things. So they're in the basement. The medium and Letitia and Atticus get done casting the spirits out, seemingly, and then all of a sudden the pipes burst and it's all wet, and then the medium goes flying up against the walls, and then she looks up and she tosses Letitia around, and then Atticus runs at her and she grabs Atticus by the throat. And she's grabbing and squeezing it, and then she lets him go and she collapses to the ground. But then Atticus is possessed now.
Brother.
And then he's possessed with a voice, and he's the voice of the white. He's possessed by the Horatio guy, Horatio Epstein. It's like, get the fuck out of my house, bitch! Get the fuck out of my house! And he's just,
bro, he's going crazy, bro. He's going crazy.
The house is.
Oh, that shit was wrong as hell.
And then Letitia starts calling on the spirits of the 8 black people that got killed in the basement, like she knew their names. And then they all come up, and then they come up in their deformed versions, and then they start slowly. You imagine that these are families and these are people that once. Okay, well, I guess it's knowing. Never mind. But these are. You get to see the people as they formerly were before they were getting experimented on. As they yell at this demon, and then eventually the demon, Atticus's body drops down, and the demon is standing there, the ghost of the guy, who eventually just dies.
Yeah.
And Letitia is left there evaluating. I thought this whole sequence was super cool to me. I really liked this episode just because it was like an episode that focused on Letitia. And I think she's just an interesting character. She's an interesting heroine, and I'm really interested in her story and what's gotten her to this point. It was weird. Very weird. And low-key kind of disturbing. Kind of.
A little bit, had its moments.
Yeah. But last thing in this episode, Atticus reunites with Christina. And like I said, she lets him know that the inheritance that Letitia apparently got from her mom actually came from Christina. And Christina led her to that house for a reason, because Horatio was a follower of another guy who got kicked out of the Sons of Adam for stealing some of the pages. So she's like, if you can help me find these pages, we can help out each other. And she's like, and super ominously at the end of the episode, and she's like, by the way, like, come on, you're smarter than this. You know you shouldn't be going around pointing guns at white women. And then she leaves.
Brother, I gave him a business card and everything. Oh my god. Brother was helpless too. He said, "You're not gonna come around my family." He didn't do this. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was just the angle that came up. It was a regular.
Yeah.
regular guy. So
yeah, but I thought this episode was like I said, it was kind of a standalone episode, but not really a standalone episode. Christina kind of tied it all back around at the end. She's like, no, this meant something. I thought it was really interesting. Anything else that you had to say about the episode, Shane?
No, I'm just, I let Cameron know I indulged a little bit and watched this. I watched a couple episodes ahead, so up to 3. So I'm excited to just go forward. This show is, I'm looking forward to it every week. So far, it's one of my favorites out. I haven't been watching a lot of live action TV, or yeah, I guess that's what I would say. it's been, it's just it's not catching my eye. I've been on my anime tip, so you know, so I'm excited. I'm excited, and I hope y'all enjoying it too, or at least enjoying our little breakdown slash synopsises.
Yeah, we hope you guys are enjoying watching the show with us and hearing us talk about it. And we will continue to watch through these next several episodes. I think we are now on episode 4. We are almost halfway through the first season. So keep watching with us. Shane, do you have any last words for the viewers before we bid them goodbye?
Hey man, just let your friends know. We appreciate the subscriptions, we appreciate the likes, the views. We don't want to force it down nobody's throat. You know what I'm saying? We just here. We appreciate the love. We hope you being entertained by it. We hope you watching because you enjoy it and not just because I'm asking you so kindly. I was kind of stuttering, but I just hope y'all having as good a time as we are. I feel like I've been saying it every week. So no, Cameron, I have nothing left to say, pal.
All right. Well, I just want to say that we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with us for these couple of weeks. We only have up to go, and we only have more for you, and we hope that we can keep giving you content that you guys keep enjoying. So for that, for me, Cameron Graham, and my co-host Shane Collins. You want to see your name, Shane?
Bro, you just kind of took liberty.
No. Let's run it back. Let's run it back. I saw Shane was hyping up, and then his mood lowered. For me, your co-host Cameron Graham, and
Shane Collins,
my wonderful co-host
Cameron. Thank you. Shane Collins, Cameron. Thank you.
We want to say thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. All right. Goodbye, guys.